Good morning, everybody. This is Thomas, and we are starting month 4 of the Jubilee block of the month. And so what we're going to start out is you will go to page 13. We are going to do our cutting out. So the first thing we're going to do is our background fabric, which I have taken the piece of background fabric. On this scenario, it is white. Some of you will have blue. I'm going to fold it into 4ths, like so. And then we are going to use the stripology ruler. And I'm going to place this on here. We need 3 different strips out of this. The first strip, we're going to cut one strip that is 4.5 inches, one that is 2 inches, and one that is 3.5. Out, we got our strip started. I'm going to set these 2 strips off to the side. I am going to take the one that is the 4.5 inch strip at the background, and we are now going to subcut this into 2 4.5 inch squares and 4 4-inch squares. So I'm going to come in here on this one, and this is 2 layers of fabric. So I'm going to cut here, make 2 at 4.5, and then we need 4 at 4. So 8.5, and then 12.5. Take this remainder piece, set it off to the side. The one that is cut at 4.5 inch squares, set off to the side. These 2 here, we're going to turn and trim them down to the 4 inch square. So I'm just going to come in and we're going to just trim these down so we get a total of 4 4-inch squares. Now we're going to take our 2-inch strip and we're going to subcut this into 4 2-inch by 9.5. So we're going to go 0, 9.5, 9.5 plus 9.5 is 19. There's my 4 rectangles that are 2 inches by 9.5. Set those as done. And now we're going to go to 3.5 inch strip. This needs to be subcut to 2 3.5 inches by 12.5. So 0, 12.5. So there is my background pieces that needed to be cut. The next one is L2. Now L2, you have this from a previous month. So this was already cut at 4 inches wide. So we want to subcut this down to get 4 4-inch squares. And this came from month 1. So this is the remainder fabric from month 1. And we want 4 4-inch squares. Next, we're going to take the L3 fabric. And again, all these fabrics, because I'm using the stripology ruler, I have folded these over. So here is, like if we were doing with the fabric folded once, and then we're going to come in and fold it twice. Fold it a second time. So there's 4 layers. And this is what I've been doing with all of them when I do the first cut for the strips. And then this strip, we need to cut this strip down to a 5-inch strip. After we cut this down into a 5-inch strip, we next are going to subcut it. We need 2 4.5-inch squares, and then we save the remainder and put that in month 11. So I'm going to line that up, and again, I need, remember we cut this at 5 inches wide. I need it at 2 at 4.5, so we're going to go 0. We're going to take this remainder, and we're going to place this in month 11. We have to cut this down because it was cut, it's still 5 inches on one side. So we need to cut it at 4.5 and 4.5 to get our 4.5-inch squares. Next, we are going to go to M2, which we are going to cut one strip at 5.5. So again, this was folded twice. So there's 4 layers of fabric. And this gets cut, stripped down to a 5.5. So I'm lining up my ruler. Now we're going to subcut these down. We're going to get 4 squares that are 4.5 squares and save the remainder for month 8. So we need 4 4.5-inch squares. Again, save this excess. This will go into month 8. Then we need to cut these down to our 4.5-inch. Next, our last piece of fabric that we need to trim down is our D1. And this is a remainder that came from month 1. And we want to cut this down to 2-inch strips. So it was already cut at 4 inches wide. We are now going to subcut it down to 2 inches wide. one of these strips, you are going to place one of these strips, the remainder from these, you are going to put them in month 6. From this, you are going to cut a total of 8 2-inch squares. 8. And remember, any of the remainder, you're going to put into the next month. So that is all of your fabric cutting that we need to do. So next we are going to go to assembling the quilt block.